start with my introduction. Myself, Ritu Raj. I am pursuing BA LLB from SS Khanna Girls Degree College, affiliated to University of Allahabad. I am in first year, second semester. The topic of my presentation is nature of our Indian Constitution. I have I have made into subparts. The first one is the intro, and second one is the historical background, and after that is nature and sources and structure, and then conclusion. So the introduction is what is constitution. So we all know that the constitution is the supreme law of land. The constitution defines all the proper functions of organs and division of power among the organs, which is the legislature, executive, and judiciary. We all generally say that constitution is a law, but in reality, it is not merely a law but machinery by which all laws are made. Constitution is the head of the country, and it is termed as a grand norms. After that, I want to talk the historical background. We all know that Britishers ruled India for almost 200 years, and the rule can be divided into the first one is the company rule, and the second one is the crown rule. The first company rule is from 1773 to 1857, and after that, crown rule started. After the Battle of Plassey and Battle of Buxar, a treaty was signed through which East India Company got the Diwani rights, and through the Diwani rights, they got the rights to collect revenue from Bihar, Odisha, and West Bengal, and gradually they got political and territorial power, and they become more greedy. As a result, people started raising their voice, and revolt of 1857 took place. After the revolt, the crown took over the responsibility, which is the period after 1857, and in 1947, India gained independence through the Indian Independence Act 1947. uh, Through this act, the Muslim League formed their own country, which is the partition, and today we know the country as Pakistan. And after this, the both country can frame their constitution and make laws to govern themselves. This was the historical background of the constitution. After that, the question arises whether the nature of our Indian constitution is unitary, federal, or quasi-federal. So first, what is unitary? So those constitutions in which all power is centralized in one government, that is central government, is known as unitary government. In these types of government, the state government is actually in all the state government is subordinate to central government. For example, the most perfect example is the United Kingdom itself. The second question arises, what is federal? Those constitutions in which all powers is laid into center and the state government is federal, and in these types of government, the state government is not subordinate to central government. And the perfect example of this is the United States of America. Let's see whether our constitution is unitary or federal. If we talk about our Indian constitution, we can easily see that the characteristics of our Indian constitution possess both attributes of unitary and federal constitutions. That's why we say that the nature of Indian constitution is a quasi-federal constitution. Article 1 of Constitution of India states that India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. Let's now see what are the characteristics which Indian constitution possess. So the first, we will discuss about the unitary characteristics possessed by our constitution. The first one is the strong center. We can see that although through schedule 7 of our constitution, power is divided between organs of government, our constitution but our center has more power. We can derive it from that the union list has more subjects, has more powers. And the second one is single citizenship, which is the characteristic of unitary government. We have we have in our constitution that the state and the central government, or the everyone has a single citizenship throughout the country. The third one is single constitution. It is the characteristic of unitary government, which we have in our constitution. Emergency provisions is the fourth one. Our constitution stipulated that there are three emergencies: national provision, national emergency, state emergency, and provinces. During national emergency, all the powers are on the hand of central government, and state government are totally under the control of central government. The fifth one is integrated judiciary. Unlike federal system, where the federal laws are implemented by federal courts and the state laws are implemented by state courts, we don't have this system. Some characteristic which we have from federal government. The first one is distribution of power. Through schedule 7, we have our constitution shows that power is divided between center and state government. Although we can see that the schedule 11 and 12, through 73rd amendment act and 74th amendment act, power is also divided into local bodies, panchayats, and municipalities. Second one is power of constitution. We the my The introduction of the presentation itself says that the constitution is the supreme law, which is the characteristic of federal constitution. All because the power is divided between center and state to prevent the dispute, constitution is the supreme. The third one is the written constitution. This is the most important characteristic of federal government which we have. Our constitution is the longest written constitution. The fourth one is the rigidity. We can see that even a single amendment uh, take place to a long time. So because because um, because the because not only central government or state government can alone amend anything. The interest of people is also required. Authority of courts is required. This is the fifth point, and authority of courts is required as sorry authority of courts is required to interpret the constitution and to maintain peace and equilibrium among the country. Now we see the characteristic of quasi-federal constitution. The first one is supremacy of constitution. We regard our constitution as the grand norms and the supreme law. The second one is dual government polity. We can see that in our country, the central and the state government exist. Bicameral legislature is the third characteristic, which we can see that Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Fourth one is rigid constitution, is that any single amendment take place a lots of time, because the interest of people is required. Fifth one is written constitution. um, that is our Indian constitution, and it is the characteristic of federal constitution. Single constitution, which is the characteristic of unitary government, is is adopted by our constitution. uh, and last one is division of power is not equal. Although the characteristic of federal is that power is divided, but we do not adopt it fully, because the division of power is not equal in our in our country. This center has more power in comparison to state. Now we talk about the sources of constitution. Our constitution is known as bag of borrowings because we have taken many things from different constitutions. The first one is Government of India Act 1935. This act is known as the blueprint of our constitution because we derived many things from this, like office of governors, emergency provisions, etc. From the constitution of Ireland we have derived DPSP. From constitution of France we have derived the principles of liberty, equality and fraternity. From constitution of USA we have derived we have adopted uh, preamble, judicial review, fundamental rights. From constitution of Australia we have derived the idea of concurrent list. From constitution of Britain we have derived single citizenship, bicameral legislature, rule of law. From constitution of Canada we have derived advisory and residuary powers. So we can conclude that our constitution is the bag of borrowings, and because we have borrowed many provisions from different constitutions, so that we can say that after so many years of independence, our constitution is the most effective one. Now we talk about the structure or making of Indian constitution. We all know that the drafting was completed on 26 November 1949, but it was enacted or came into force on 26 January 1950. Originally there were 395 articles, 22 parts and 8 schedules. But at present, there are 448 articles, 25 parts, and 12 schedules. Now let's talk about the special features of Indian Constitution. The first one is that our constitution is the lengthiest written constitution. Second one is our constitution is known as bag of borrowings. The third one is the constitution declares certain fundamental rights of individuals, and if someone violate our fundamental rights we can reach the apex code 2 through article 32. The most unique feature of our Indian constitution is the provisions of DPSPs. There are provisions in our constitution to ensure independency of judiciary, so that the organs of our government or executive or legislature can't misuse their powers. And the most remarkable feature of our constitution is that it is quasi federal in nature, or it possesses both unitary and federal characteristics. There are some cases which show the nature of our Indian constitution. The first one is Samser Singh versus Union of India. The second one is S.R. Bomnai versus Union of India. And we can conclude that these both cases, it says that the nature of our Indian constitution is quasi federal, and rejected the presidential system of executive. In the second case, SR Bomnai versus Union of India, Justice Ahmadi says that our constitution in our constitution there is absence of federalism, and that's why we can say that our constitution is quasi federal, because we do not adopt over everything, like everything from everything as federal government, like USA, and and not everything from unitary as great as United Kingdom. And conclusion, we can conclude that our constitution, which is the supreme law of land, is quasi federal in nature. Lastly, thank you.